Hey guys, and welcome back. My name is Wes Clark and I am a 24-year-old writer-director, but today we are talking AI short filmmaking and some tips and tricks. Specifically, this video is going to cover image generation, the best softwares to use, and what I did to get the best images possible for my short series, The Life of Sergeant Seawash. When you're doing anything with AI, because you're generating so many audio and video files, just like you would for an actual movie, I recommend you go get a hard drive. Get a small SSD, maybe 1 terabyte or so, and just make sure that everything is off of that. Today we're talking about images. You would think, well, you take the script and you just put it in and you make a bunch of images, but it's actually a little bit more complicated than that, and if you want to get the best outcomes, you really need to think about prompts, presets, generating with the best AI models available. So let's get into it. Before I make any images that are actually to deal with the story at hand, I go to my characters and my locations. Why do I do that? Well, let's make a character sheet. Let's say you take character A and you put it in location B. You aren't gonna wanna put that character from a different location because it's gonna give weird information to the AI model when it's spitting out an image. Instead, you give it a character sheet. That means that we want to prompt it with our best descriptors possible for our character, from the front, side, and back. A character sheet is something that all animations do in real life that are handmade or digitally done by an artist. You're gonna wanna do the same process. And the reason for this is that the information being plugged into the AI to make the image now has information for the full body of the character instead of just a still image forward. Then I look at the entire scene that we're dealing with and the locations. Where are we? So let's say we are at a poker table. I'm gonna prompt it for a wide image of that room. All of the small details need to be there in this wide image. It's not that we're gonna use it in the actual short, but now every time that we prompt the AI model to make us an image in that room, we're able to drag and drop that image, which is really gonna help contextualize the prompt with a visual. So once we have all of those presets, we can now get into the actual shots. Like I said, use ChatGPT, add as much detail as possible to these prompts in order to make sure that it is going to match what you actually want. Do not just say, duck goes left. It's not gonna be helpful. You need to give it more description. As part of that, I recommend that you add 3 things and you ask it before doing any images to be consistent as possible. Your framing, your style, like hyper-realistic or cartoon animation or whatever. If it's a modern feeling or if it's an old feeling, get that kind of style by generation in there. And just prompt GPT to say that every single prompt being made is going to follow those 3 basic things, because what that's gonna do is make sure that all of your images have those same characteristics, which will just link them nicely together and make sure that they generally fit the same vibe. And this brings me to my last point about prompts. If the prompt is generating bad images, don't just keep putting in the same prompt and saying, do better, do better, do better. Because guess what? It's not gonna help anything. You actually need to go in, read the prompt, and see what exactly is not making it work, and regenerate one to make the image improve. So once we have those prompts, where do we go with it? What is the best AI model? I find Sora to be really great for image generation, and I find Nana Banana from Gemini to also be really remarkable. My one qualm, and yes I said qualm, with Gemini's image creation is that sometimes the 16:9, 3:2 framing doesn't quite happen, and so you actually get this weird thing where you have to then go back and artificially fix those images before making videos. That's not super helpful, and honestly it really slowed me down sometimes. Let's say we're sticking within ChatGPT, and for the most part, for image creation, I did. You want to set that to 3:2 image, and you want to not only put in your prompt, but you want to give as much information as possible. This means adding your character sheet, adding your location sheets, or any other kind of images. Something that I found really, really useful when I was doing this is that if it just consistently made the wrong image, I would actually go onto Google and find an image that matched a similar frame. So if you're ever struggling and the prompts just don't seem to get it right because it's throwing in weird AI bullshit, I recommend you go and you find an image that matches the angle, or take a picture yourself, or draw an image, quite frankly, of the exact angle and shapes and things that you want, and I guarantee you, you're gonna get better results. Keep inputting the prompt. Make micro micro fixes, and eventually after doing it 2, 3, or 4 times, something good is gonna come out. Do not settle for bad images, because if you prompt the video generators with bad images, you're not gonna be able to make a successful film, and that is something I learned as I went through. So what happens if 90% of an image is exactly what I want, but there's still that last 10%? You're gonna take that image that AI just generated, and you are going to drag it into Photoshop if you have it, or any adjacent to Photoshop. I personally use Photoshop Beta, which has the AI attached to it, which means that I don't even have to do a lot of work. I can drag and type and it fixes things for me. What is this really, really helpful for? Well, it's really helpful for removing things. So if the AI comes out really, really great, but maybe the frame is slightly not right, I recommend spending the time getting the image right and using something like Photoshop that can just tweak images before making the videos. The nice bit is that if you do this by hand after generating the actual image and correcting the image yourself, you get that control back as an artist instead of just having AI improve. You can actually improve it yourself. I have one more tip. I went through and I made all of the images for the short before making any videos. That way I could really see if the look and the feel and the tone is changing over time. You wanna make sure that those images are keeping consistent as possible so that your audience doesn't feel like it's non-connected. That outcome has to start with the image generation. So that's about it for me. I spend about 40% of my time making the images, and that includes all of the music, the sound effects, the video generation, the script, everything. And the reason for that is because if all of your images look spectacular and look similar and your characters all kind of match each other across the images, you're gonna get the best results at the end. So you really need to spend that time now. As always, I am more than happy to answer any of your questions. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and share. Please, it really helps me out. Go out there and make something cool yourself. As always, I recommend that you make your own stuff. Make something cool and send it to me. I want to see your work. Peace.